Hi everybody, welcome back to the Northwoods Family channel. This week we are doing a little throwback video to our 7-day family overlanding trip in our Polaris General in the Black Hills National Forest, and we are going to be counting down our top 5 side-by-side off-road rides in the Black Hills. I have to say it was extremely difficult to narrow down our favorite rides from this trip because everywhere in the Black Hills is incredibly scenic and the rides are so different, so unique that it can be hard to compare them. There were times we were driving on the highways and having a blast, so don't think that these are the only good rides out there. There are thousands of miles of trails and forest roads in the Black Hills that offer just incredible riding opportunities. So with that out of our way, let's get started and count down our top 5 off-road rides in the Black Hills National Forest. Coming in at number 5 is going to be the first ride we set out on when we started our trip, and that is a section of trails called the Victoria Ride. Located between Sheridan Lake to the south and Pactola Reservoir to the north, Highway 385 to the west, or Sheridan Lake Road to the south is your best jumping off point to access these routes. One of the great things we loved about the Victoria Ride is the terrain and trails vary greatly throughout the ride. There are wide open areas with beautiful scenic views, traveling up and down rolling hills. There are rocky hill climbs through pine forests, and even tight, muddy trail sections and some more technical spots as well. Now, we were here in September, but based on the terrain, there should be some good water crossings if you choose to do this ride in the spring. The Victoria Ride is a great place to see wildlife including deer and turkey, and you may run into a few herds of cows as well.
You shall not pass.
If you're looking for a place to camp, both Pactola Reservoir and Sheridan Lake campgrounds are fantastic spots, and there are also plenty of remote areas you can boondock right off of the trails. Our number 4 ride on our countdown is the Beaver Park Trail section in the northern Black Hills. The Beaver Park trails are located about 8 miles north of Nemo on Vanacker Canyon Road or Forest Highway 3C. If you like rocky, rugged trails, elevation changes, and incredible panoramic views, you will enjoy riding on the Beaver Park trails. The trail complex branches off into a number of fingers. One thing to note, it is not a loop, so you will have to ride down and back on the same trail. But these trails were so cool, we don't think you'll mind riding back, or you can do what we did. Trail 139.1 continues into Sturgis underneath the interstate, passing by the Black Hills National Cemetery on the way. To get into Sturgis from this trail, you'll need to pass through Fort Meade Recreation Area, which isn't the most incredible ride, but it does offer some cool views of Bear Butte and an opportunity to see some more wildlife. It also passes by the other national cemetery in the Black Hills, Fort Meade. When you make it to Sturgis, there are plenty of places to grab a bite to eat. We stopped at the Knuckle and enjoyed their world-famous steak tips before jumping on the highway and enjoying a scenic ride into Deadwood. Number 3 on our list is a remote section of rocky and more technically challenging trails known as the Ditch Creek Ride. Appropriately named for the creek and campground in the area, Ditch Creek is harder to get to as there are no major highways running nearby. Located several miles south of Deerfield Reservoir, you'll need to use other trails or forest roads if you want to get to Ditch Creek. That said, the gravel roads leading there are pretty good, so if you're pulling an RV and want to camp at Ditch Creek, you should be fine. Ditch Creek runs along Hell Canyon, appropriately named for its rocky and rugged terrain. The trails at Ditch Creek were some of the more technical trails we rode, and we made good use of our rock sliders as we went around and over some decent-sized boulders and drops in the trail. The Ditch Creek trails also go by some really cool old caves that appear to have once been some kind of mine. It was a nice place to stop and do some exploring with the kids, as well as cool off for a while underground. If this was a mine? Just to the west of Ditch Creek is our number 2 ride, Antelope Springs. If you want to get somewhere remote, Antelope Springs is it. If you take it out from Ditch Creek, the trail weaves through some forests, then open rolling prairie, through canyons and tall pine forests, and actually at some points crosses the border into Wyoming. If you enjoy getting a little muddy, there should be plenty of puddles to wash down your machine. Just be careful not to cake your radiator with too much mud. You may want to bring some kind of spray bottle out to clean it off, because this is not the place you want to have overheating issues out when you're a long ways from help. There are a number of spots you'll need to get out to open cattle fences. Just be sure to close them behind you. Leave everything as you found it. You'll also likely encounter herds of cattle that are grazing on the National Forest land. Just remember to use care and don't do anything stupid to spook the cattle. That's so we can continue to enjoy riding these trails, but it could also be for your safety. I'm going to cheat here and sneak in mention of one more ride, because if you continue south from Antelope Springs, you can link up with another great ride, Summit Ridge, which offers some incredible opportunities for boondock camping with gorgeous views and wildlife. We found a remote hillside to camp on and woke up to the sound of elk bugling, and were able to watch mule deer feeding across a nearby valley. If you continue south, the trail runs through Bowles Canyon and out to Highway 16, just across the border into Wyoming.
Really beautiful. Yeah, this is called Bowles Canyon.
Wow, yeah, this is cool. And now, it's finally time for our #1 ride in the Black Hills National Forest. Well, I'm sure many of you are waiting with bated breath to see what it is. Those of you who have ridden the trails in the Black Hills before probably could predict it. Our #1 ride in the Black Hills is the iconic Custer Peak. With an elevation of 6,801 feet, Custer Peak is not the highest point of elevation in the Black Hills, but it may very well be the most scenic. Offering 360-degree panoramic views of 4 states, Custer Peak is a must-do ride if you are in the central or northern hills. The trails can be accessed by taking Highway 385 about 10 miles south of Deadwood, or as we did, from Roubaix Lake Campground, a sweet little spot to camp, fish, and access a number of different trails in the area. But the great thing about Custer Peak is that it is more than just an awesome view when you get to the top. As with anything else, the joy in the trip is as worthwhile as the arrival at the destination. The trails wind through beautiful pine and spruce forests with ample opportunities to see wildlife, and then begin to climb and snake their way up the mountain. As probably the most popular ride in the Black Hills, you are likely to encounter other off-road traffic, and there are also some high spots on the trails. So while not inherently dangerous by any means, you will want to be alert and travel carefully. The peak, of course, was named after General George Armstrong Custer, who explored the Black Hills in 1874. The first fire tower on the peak was constructed in 1911, replaced in 1935, and the building that stands there today was erected in 1941 by the Civilian Conservation Corps. With an architectural style unique to the National Forest Service and CCC buildings, it was placed on the National Historic Lookout Register in 1990. Now those are our top 5 off-roading trails in the Black Hills National Forest, but we have an honorable mention that we really wanted to talk about, and honestly, we probably could have added more. Our honorable mention is the Minnetonka ride in the far southern hills. If you're looking for another remote ride to hit where you're unlikely to see any other UTV traffic, Minnetonka has you covered. Now, it took us nearly 45 minutes to get there from the Cottonwood Reservoir campground west of Hot Springs, but it was absolutely worth the drive. Part of Minnetonka is like riding on a different planet. The landscape is rugged, mountainous, and dry. Bleached white rocks penetrate the landscape, and sections of the trail snake back and forth like nowhere else as you climb and descend into the canyons. On top of the plateaus, the trail offers incredible views and the ability to reach higher speeds. While we weren't able to explore all the sections of this trail, we would definitely make the trip out to Minnetonka again. So that's a look at our top 5 off-road trails in the Black Hills National Forest, plus a couple honorable mentions to boot. Did your trail make the list? Or was there something else we should have added? Let us know in the comments below. Like I said, there are so many incredible trail riding opportunities we loved in the Black Hills, it was just impossible for us to hit them all. We hope you enjoyed this video. Now, if you're interested in some of these routes, be sure to follow the link in the description below to some maps we've put together that you can download for free to help you plan your own rides in the Black Hills National Forest. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up, let us know what you thought in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more side-by-side riding adventures with the family. As always, ride safely, and we'll see you on the trails.